All right, there's a channel that I've been watching, uh, whom uh, are meshing very well with the message that Jimmy Dore often puts out. The message that current affairs and others uh, who are taking a burn it down, destroy it, eliminate it, eviscerate it position, and that is the Convo Coach. They are using many of the words I've been using, many of the sentiments, many of the uh, of the of the anger, rage that I demonstrate when I do my videos, and that's not because that's not because I'm a mass murderer or a psychopath or a sociopath. It's because it's a natural reaction to seeing people getting screwed, seeing our the natural world getting burnt down and destroyed for spreading insanity uh, in the vast majority of the of people of the world. Uh, it's this it's this drive to elevate a few over everything, purely in a material, hedonistic train wreck that just keeps barreling and barreling and barreling, going through everything, uh, regardless of the fact that it's all going to just collectively collapse everything. And so, anyways, I was just watching a video from the Convo Couch. I forget the girl who's on the Convo Couch. Her and this other guy. I can't remember. I'm not very good with remembering names. But anyways, I really like her because she is espousing the same sort of collective animosity towards towards the the traitors, the deceivers, the however you want to call them, the establishment, whatever you want to call them, have been perpetrating on us collectively, and has basically just made more and more and more of us into nothing more than disposable commodity, and as well as the natural world. It's where we've become collectively expendable for the immediate, uh, in the minute, in the hour, in the day, in the week, in month, and years of their obsessions. And the thing is there's a point that was made, that's been made for a long time, is that even those who have the economic influence, the political influence, the social influence, who control the levers of politics, control the levers of production, who have basically made us all into nothing more than uh, than expendable automation, and continues to try to make us into automatons that are expendable. Uh, they're trying to make us all nothing, not the vital backbone. Uh, and they could just do whatever. And the thing is the reason why we have we have pedophiles in pedophile rings in those in highest levels is because just like drug addicts and other sort of addicts, sex addicts, you know, fear addicts who do things to get a boost through doing something dangerous. All these sort of other addictions, obsessions, uh, continually get worse, and more people are are taken against their will, or tricked because of the necessity of the moment, uh, or the lack of of wanting of lack of self awareness and understanding that it's ultimately going to cause them hardship and pain. It translates not just to those such as the Jeffrey Epstein supercrime organization that committed atrocities, which spans decades, and the victims suffer for upon decades. This is the sort of stuff that they do because they're not getting fulfillment from having stupid levels of money and power, and basically being able to do anything they want. And it only gets progressively worse as time rolls on. After generation, learns the lesson, and the more paranoid and destructive they become. Now, you have to understand that whether you're living back in the days of feudalism, where you had kings and queens and lords and nobility and aristocrats, and which includes the wealthy, who had connections to the levers of nobility, or whether you're talking about the rise of the Nazis and fascism. But you have to understand, back in the days of feudalism, fascism was ingrained into the system, because that's basically what a monarchy and nobility and aristocrat is. And fascism is about controlling the avenues of economics, of controlling money, and thereby controlling lands, and thereby controlling you who live on those lands. And that means also controlling the natural world by using you. And when I say you, us, as the levers of their fascist control. Now, all of this is kind of gone astray from what the meat of this video is supposed to be. So, let me see if I can organize myself here. During this, before the Second World War, after the First World War, Hitler and the Nazi Party, which started out small, but Hitler and the Nazi Party grew it out. The way they did it is something the Tea Party took lessons from. Not the violence that the Hitler and the Nazi Party did. The physical part, anyways. The Nazis also did a lot of violence in the way they use their words, in the way they use a force of intimidation, but they weren't physically attacking people in the beginning. But eventually, the Nazis ended up actually using all of it, and that's how they got into power. Is they were speaking to the desperation within the German or Germanic peoples, and they were speaking to, and if you look into it, you're going to see that there is a lot of correlation that what was happening during that period is what we're seeing happening today. The ruling class, those with money and those with positions, were doing many of the things, and they were, of course, blaming. They were, of course, using the Allied powers, who had leveled all sorts of odious policies and completely insane things when they won the First World War. The Nazi Party was also doing the thing of pointing out, hey, this is what the the Axis powers blame us for this, but they don't mention what they did to push for what happened in World War II. And of course, the winners did that, pointed out some obvious things, but also were spouting complete and utter nonsense, just like what's happening today. So understand that it was the Nazi Party was a lot like how Trump is doing. Trump isn't as intelligent, and he doesn't have enough people around him whom he's willing to listen, because to be quite truthful, Hitler wasn't the most intelligent person. But one thing that Hitler was willing to do was listen and bring up a core amount of people that would tell him what the tactics that they saw necessary, and of course they tailored it to what Hitler wanted, but in a more rational and concrete manner. For the now, when I say rational and concrete, I don't mean that they were trying to be be for the good of the collective. No, but they were doing it, and they were making obvious divides right off the bat. And so one of the let's go back and some of the more specific things that they did, such as going to the newspapers and the radio stations and so on and so forth, and the polling and where people were going to vote, going to political opponent, going to political opponents. So if a political opponent was doing a rally, the Nazi Party would be close by doing a counter. And they wouldn't just bring the core people. They would also have later on larger groups of the so-called average citizen who had gone towards the Nazi Party, and they were a militia, because basically what the Nazi Party started out was a radical right wing political faction, but they grew that out and brought in militia, basically forming a military outfit within the country. One of the things that allowed the Nazis to succeed was the apathy of the general Germanic populace. So when I talk about Germanic, I'm talking about Austria. I'm talking about Germany. I'm talking about all those other nations at the time who had greater German collective ideology. So it was apathy of the greater proportion of the population that allowed Hitler and the Nazi Party to succeed. Trump uses much of what Hitler and the Nazi Party used, and there may be some some differences, such as economic standing and status, but Trump has surrounded himself with basically, like with Steve Mnuchin, what's his name, the VP, Pence. He's surrounded himself with people from Goldman Sachs, from Wall Street, from corporations, and corporate lobbyists, and he's pushing them into positions all over the place, whether it's in the courts. This is the same sort of thing that the Nazis did. once they got into power, and they did it really fast. And Trump has done the same thing. And you have to understand, it's not just the Republicans greenlighting this; it's the Democrats. Once the Germans who were already in politics, who were not who either were forced out or they bowed down, and they basically greenlighted everything. Now there is a slight difference. There's more willingness in this day and age of both parties, which is basically one party, following. But it's the same. It's the same thing. So check out the histories. Even the more mainstream areas are more objective and truthful about that history. But they often also leave out some key things, which is where you need to go to the actual historians who are not biased, who are more principled and want to stick with the actual truth. And you can find that on YouTube. You can find that online. You can find it. But you also don't need to be a historian. You just need to be someone who has curiosity and interest in looking into it, and has the intellect, the mental and emotional intellect to put things together. One of the pitfalls of our society is all these quote unquote experts that the media pushes, and they often bring them in, which is why you see so many times somebody who writes a book, or who writes or has is touted for this being an expert of this and that. This is why they have these. They've made lobbyists experts. This is why they've made the quote unquote captains of industry and captains of finance, these so called experts. So this is why you also have them, using these experts to do scientific. The corporations buy the scientists to do these stuff, and then when they do the studies and they find out that their actions are actually being destructive, they put out the false propaganda, the complete reverse of what their findings are. And then you have these experts saying, backing what the propaganda says, even though their own research shows to be the complete opposite. So understand, there's a lot of concrete collaborative things that happened from back then that you see now. This is why the media constantly puts out the narrative, oh, they're conspiracy theorists, or they're conspiracy nuts. They're this. If the media and those people who buy what the media is selling, the lies, basically the lies that they're selling, and they do lies in multiple ways, like in what they don't cover, and what they choose to cover, and how they choose to frame what they cover, with all the stuff that I've talked about before. That's how you get propaganda. That's how you grow ignorance. That's how you grow apathy. That's how you grow laziness, weakness. And so there's a lot of stuff that the Nazis did, and there are some of the stuff that the Tea Party learned from the how the Nazis did it. And that's how they got where they did, because they spoke to the pain and depression and anger to a fraction of the people that brought them into power, and the Nazis did that. You have to understand, they used what the governments of those times in the Germanic sphere of the west, but eastern part of eastern portion of the Western Europe at the time. So the ones that were hit after World War One. So understand, there's a lot of correlation of what happened back then. It's been happening at an accelerated pace from the late '70s on until now. Not to say that fascism hadn't existed before, because it had in the U.S. and elsewhere. The history of governments have basically been all about being fascist, and fascist is control the money, control the levels of money, control the levels thereby land, control the levels thereby of policy and people. And there will be those that say they will argue about how I just framed fascism, and they'll go into technicalities. But basically, that's what it comes down to. If you're thinking and you're more self-aware, then and you look into the stuff that I just talked about, you're gonna understand that it's all semantics. That it's meaningless. Anyways, so what are the lessons that we as collectively can take from what Trump did, what the Nazis did, what the Tea Party did, to get into position of power? Trump did a no holds barred, I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to lie, cheat, steal, and whatever. And there's nothing you can do about it. Because he was talking about the issues that a portion of the country wanted seen and done. So, and the Nazis did that. But here's one thing that the Nazis did that Trump couldn't do, and that is the Nazis not only spoke on the issues, but they grew not just a political party, but they brought in the cultist following, the mass movement. Okay, not cultish. The mass movement of people who backed Hitler and his Nazi party, and they were willing to use. Well, actually, no, it is cultist, because Trump's people are willing to look at his tweets and go out and start hanging people, shooting people, vilify and villainize people. When he does his interviews, so the Nazis had brought enough numbers of ideologue cultish people to use violence, physical violence, intimidation, and as well as words, because the Nazis were actually fighting people in the streets, and those people are often those supposed to be of the government officials, like police, military security. Internal security, whatever you want to call it. Now, when I said let's look about what we can learn from the Nazis, I'm not talking about doing any of that. I'm not talking about doing any of that. What I'm talking about is what I talked about in other videos. Is we build a third way where we cover from the local to the state to the federal, and we go as a group, because that's what something that the Nazis did, and the Tea Partiers did the same thing. And so what we do is we do some of the stuff that the Nazis did, like going to instead of using violence, we go to say like the New York Times, and we go to the NBC studios or the CBS studios or the MSNBC, and we basically say and we bring people in to follow us, and we basically say, look, don't stop the presses. Don't come into work and do the soundboards and the video editing and run the cameras and all that other stuff. Don't do that. We want you to walk off. We want you to walk off your jobs. We as a collective are going to see to your immediate needs until we get control. These are the things that we're gonna do. These are the sort of things we're gonna do. We're gonna institute that you have a say in your workplace. And it's not going to be these wealthy criminals or those appointed by wealthy criminals to be on the board or in management and so on and so forth. We're gonna get you the universal health care. We're gonna not get. We're gonna get by showing that we are collectively working towards universal betterment. So we're going to eliminate student debt. We're going to make education free. We're going to make education universally progressive. We're not going to go on the basis of gender or the quote unquote race or religion or any. We're gonna eliminate all of that. We're going to make sure that there are laws in place that have heavier felony impacts for those who have official standing and who have political standing and business standing. The big business standing. We're going to have deeper impacts on the so-called journalists who do propaganda, because they're supposed to be the fourth estate. They're supposed to be the fourth arm of control of government. so that the corruption and crime, which is done largely by those holding power, whether you're in big business or in politics, or you're a judge or a cop, it's like that's crime. We like to use we constantly hear corruption, but it's basically a crime. So and then you also go to your workplaces. Tell them the same thing. Build up through community, through the communities and the following that you have, the infrastructure to be able to sustain those people that you pull out of the workforce, who are a movement that's not just a general towards a general strike, but also changing the political, socio-economical, and as well as media. So that's the lessons we can take. Some lessons we can take from the movement that the Nazi Party created, from the smaller but still effective movement that the Tea Party, because the Tea Party did the same thing. And what Trump did, he basically called bullshit like the Tea Party did, and what Bernie should have been doing the whole time, and so on and so forth. But it's like one thing I understand is, like, at the end of World War II, there was a lot of punishment and so on and so forth. But understand that just like the too big to fail. Germany and Europe basically allowed with that too big to fail thing for Mercedes Benz, Mercedes for Bayer and Siemens and all these. They basically did that too big to fail bit back then. Even though these companies who actually were collaborating with companies in Britain and in France and other places, and doing business collaboration. So both sides were actually both sides of the so-called businesses were attributing heavily to the number of atrocities and crimes committed during the wars. But they should at the end they should have taken out the people like the Rothschilds, who were playing both sides during the First and Second World War. They should have taken out and made made Bayer and Siemens and all of this. I mean, Monsanto was doing stuff like Bayer did. As a matter of fact, some of the stuff that Monsanto did was used during the time of the Second World War by Bayer. So you can see where all this insane collaboration, and yet we like to say, oh, it was the Nazis or the German or so. It's like it's complete and utter crap. So they should have taken out the wealthies and those connected to the nobility and aristocrats and so on and so forth. They should have taken out the moneyed interests, the ones that helped to drive it, They should have taken out many, but that's not what happened. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people that the German companies that were the manufacturer of the war machine and the scientists, actually many of them came to the U.S. Why? Because the U.S. Green lighted bringing these people over, and these people were directly involved in creating weapons of mass destruction and war, you know, and atrocities. Some of them were fully complicit, knowing exactly what was going on. So, anyways, I think I bungled this somewhat, but understand it's time to burn it down. It's time to get organized. It's time to throw away apathy and throw away this backwards idea of civility. And it's time to take some lessons from the right, because the right has been winning for quite a long time. And the reason why the right has been winning is because they are willing to use intimidation, you know, and physical and emotional and all that other stuff. And unfortunately, we are susceptible to that because, you know, hey, who wants to be killed? Who wants to be beaten up? Who wants to be threatened? And of course, the lessons we should learn is that we need to be aggressive, but we need to be aggressive in a truth based way. We need to be able to demonstrate the disconnect, and we need to show solidarity. That's not forceful intimidation. That's not that's coalition building. That's bringing in the collective. That's and that's in turn, when you have the greater numbers, that's force. It's a passive force, but it's a force, and it's the way we have to way we have to see. We have to speak truth. We have to show self-aware anger and hurt, and that's how we're gonna go a third way. Otherwise, we will continue to lose to a smaller number who are willing to use every form of negative violence, and those who are willing to throw away morals, ethics, principles, and use deception and all that. We will continue to lose. And the natural world, one of the most vital things that we all collectively need, will only get worse. And it has become time that we cannot wait another 4 years, or 8 years, or 10 years, or 20 years. We can't. It has to be now, and we can't play by the rules that they have set. We have to ignore them because they're not legitimate, because they're not lawful equitably and equally applying. They are fixed, they are rigged, and we need to show force. All this protesting, you know, people just coming out in masses and basically pleading, can you please give me master? That doesn't work. We need to have a mass movement that not only shows numerical force, but also shows a clear understanding and a clear acknowledgement that no, We're not playing by your bullshit rules. We are going to insist that you go to walk yourself to jail. We are going to insist that that you that you do this. We're not taking no for an answer, and that's how it must be done. And when they send out people to use the violence, we need to stand together and show that we are willing to fight that violence with violence. That's what I mean about taking some cues from the right. We may not initiate it, we did, but we damn well will. We damn well will defend ourselves. You know, I wrote one on the comment. One last thing is like, self-aware is self-defense. We all need to be self-aware, and we need to bring others into self-awareness so that we have self-defense, and that way we get true equality, true liberty, true freedom, and truth altogether. Thank you.